Gentlemen, please put your hands together for Maeve.
Hello, hello, hello. My name is Maeve, just to reiterate. I'm the head of product design at Thredd. We do payment processing. Kind of big part of my role is simplifying complexity there. So a bit about me. I'm quite a hands-on UX leader. Tropey as hell, but I am a people-focused product designer at heart. I just love this. I've been knocking about in tech for about 8 years now. And prior to that, I was an academic, so I used to research drugs for a type of lung cancer. And all of that's kind of shaped the talk today, actually, which is all about proving the worth of design. Is good design really good business? Good design is not equal good business. So that's been my talk. Thank you very much. It's as simple as, and it's scientific really, correlation does not equal causation. We can make the most beautiful, usable, useful products in the world, but that is not the only ingredient for success of a business. If it was, probably none of us would be working right now, would we? We'd be retired, right? But goddamn, good design helps. Design impacts are manifold, right? And we hear it all the time. We make money and we save money. And we do it through a number of ways. Building brand trust, better customer satisfaction, increased perceived value. We can reduce customer support costs, development costs, etc., etc. So if it's so obvious, then why am I even here? And why are we talking about proving it? Well, it's simple, it's not that obvious, and we all know that. And there's a myriad of reasons, but some of the key ones that I've encountered in my career have been, frankly, the long-term financial impacts of great design. Especially like for a 0 to 1 product, you're looking at a couple of years to get the appropriate level of data to prove the success of that design. Second is complex interdependencies. And again, that comes back to good business. What makes a business successful? It's not just design, it's a myriad of factors. It can be cost, it can be just convenience, it can be gap in the market. Good design always helps, but it's not the only thing. We've got a lack of standardized metrics in design. And I'm not saying it doesn't exist, full stop. I mean, there's plenty that I love, like the HARP framework, SUS scores, etc. But we've not nailed it like, say, our marketing counterparts. We've not nailed that standardized metrics that mean the same thing in every organization. And finally, there's an intangibility and a subjectivity with design. Great design is just sometimes hard to explain, isn't it? Until it's in your hands, it's hard to know. It's really, really awesome. So to tackle these, through my career, I've used kind of 4 strategies. Some are quick and dirty, and some are more long-term to kind of demonstrate that ROI. Measuring what matters, and that's context-dependent measurement. Frame your design metrics, that is, reframe them. ROI culture. As a leader, you need to embed an ROI culture. And finally, making the intangible tangible. So what I'll do now is I'll take you through a few worked examples of where I've applied these in the past, and yeah, show you how I've done it. So, I wouldn't be a fintech designer if I didn't have a boring table, right? I just had to do it. But every business in the world, fundamentally, deploys 3 strategies to achieve financial success. It's quite simplistic, but they all got to do it. They got to make money, they got to save money, and they have to avoid risk. So using this kind of model, or the super simplified table, this is a collaborative exercise I run with my designers, my sales folk, my marketing folk, or if you want to get really nerdy, dig into your RFPs and RFIs, and figure out, for your context, how does your business make money, save money, and avoid risk? But also applying that context of, what could design actually impact? Let's not go too wild. We can't do everything, right? So what does that actually mean? Ask yourself questions like, what is the business model? Things like, is it SaaS? Is it PaaS? Is it agency? Is it government? Because governments do make money. What is the business value proposition? What is the gap in the market that business addresses? And then tangible things like, how does the company make money? Like, what's the revenue model? Is it recurring revenue? Is it pay-per-use? Et cetera, et cetera. And then on the save money, again, what are actionable overheads? What are things that design could actually impact? Where are there inefficiencies in this business that we might be able to impact? And then risks. What risks exist in that business space? Again, from a fintech space, and risk everywhere, risk, risk, risk. But risk can mean many things. It can be what operational risks are there, compliance, security, financial risks. And then on the line underneath, how is all that measured in that organization? So collaboratively filling out this table with our sales, with our marketing, with our other designers, etc., we'll get something like this. We'll make money. And this is an example. A SaaS company that offer unique financial products, make money through recurring revenue, pay-per-use, etc., etc. Where they need to save money is probably pretty standard across lots of orgs, which is operations, support, maybe they want to embrace AI, reduce development costs, and what kind of risks, operational, process failures, compliance incidents, etc. And then on the line underneath are what are the published metrics that reflect that in your organization? P&L, net new sales, recurring revenue, number of support tickets, operational costs, loss events, customer complaints as risks. And then start to fill it in with what design can do in that organization. And what you'll get is a number of sentences and a number of metrics that you can impact as a designer. And pretty much every project you're doing does one of these, because otherwise you probably wouldn't be doing it, right? So, as a SaaS company, design is the first thing you see. We ensure product quality, so therefore we enable that company to offer those unique financial products. We thoroughly research products, reduce development rework. We help mitigate risk, as another example. Design reduces process failures, customer complaints can be avoided by great design, etc. So those are our sentences, our words that we use to describe what we do. And then underneath we've got, as I said, our metrics. And this is where we start really plugging into the business, really speaking their language. It's quite powerful. It can really help to add some credibility to the design org. So, as an example, we impact P&L, execs love that. Product quality drives net new sales, design reduces support tickets, etc., etc. So, with this exercise, we've aligned design impact to specific business objectives and their metrics. But we've not really proved it, have we? Because we didn't do all of that just by ourselves. And this is where we get to framing design metrics. So, a challenge I've had in the past is I've presented awesome SUS scores to my exec team. I've presented delightful user quotes. I've presented all sorts of awesome things design did. Slightly dramatized, but it's kind of how it went. It's not that they didn't care, they love what we're doing, but they're like, how did that impact P&L, the old classic? And a way I've gotten around that is using design metrics as proxy metrics. As an example, this actually happened to me quite recently, being asked, what have design been doing? What have you guys achieved? Well, with that example I just went through, we achieved an awesome SUS score with that product. And that was measured. That drives customer satisfaction. And customer satisfaction drives recurring revenue. That SUS score was a proxy metric for that customer satisfaction, which was a direct driver of recurring revenue. Embedding design metrics in a way in a company's success is crucial. It gives design that credibility, but it also helps elevate us from that mixed pool of things that help to drive business success. It helps us put our stamp on it. This is becoming an adage I've started saying so many times. Oh, well, usability is a proxy metric for insert thing. Another strategy I've employed is opportunistic reframing. Rolls off the tongue. But I'll give you an example. This is a scientific statement I was able to make as a result of some creative metric measuring I did along the way. Thoroughly researched design results in reduced dev rework, reducing development costs. Now, when you can plug numbers into that, that gets really, really exciting. And I had an opportunity to do that. It was the classic thing of design wasn't involved in a project early enough, so we didn't have resources to allocate early enough. So developers picked and chose from the design system where they could and proceeded. So what I saw was an opportunity to measure the tickets that would be required by that dev team to rework that work they'd done. It was going to have to pass design quality gates. And what I then got was a financial figure for the cost of development with design involved compared to development without design involved. I was able to prove that it's more expensive to develop without us. And that was quite powerful. So we've spoken about measuring what matters and framing our design metrics. There's a bit more to it, though. Culture is really important. Outcomes are greater than outputs. So this is kind of like a trope or an adage. I'm always saying this to my team. I don't care about your iterations, your screens. Outcomes, measure to your outcomes. Implementing design-driven culture is up to us as leaders. And we can implement it in several places, in our people, in our process, and our principles. As an example, I stole this from my Confluence page earlier today and had to blur everything out rather fast. But we publish our team metrics. Metrics are part of our mission and vision. We celebrate our successes. We embed them in our process, in our design brief template. We now have what outcome are you driving to? What business success or business angle are you helping to drive? We also encourage accountability and ownership at both the organizational level and the individual level. We can work to implement ROI culture, design ROI culture across our organization too, by getting in there early, arguing with people, and embedding design success as a part of project success. So I'll give you an example. This is from last year. Kind of typical. We're going to release a new product that addresses a gap in the market by end of Q3. Key results, 10 cross-sells, awesome, lots of money, woohoo. But design weren't getting their stamp in there. So we renamed it. We got in there on the objective. We're going to release a new product, differentiated by great usability, to address gaps in the market by the end of Q3. We're going to get 10 cross-sells by end of Q4. We're going to get 5 positive impressions. We've got to measure it, of product quality. And how we ensured that we got in there, and use that term differentiated, was getting in there early with the potential customers of the product that we're developing to understand why they might use ours over somebody else's. Turned out usability was a thing. We can also drive ROI culture in our teams. So this is an example of somebody's goal from earlier this year. They were going to build out our design system, which is awesome. We all need to do it. But how I help elevate that person in their career is ensuring that what they're doing is driving to business success. So here we had enhanced the design system. We're going to make 10 components with an 80% adoption rate. Awesome. But in their career, going forward, they got 10 components, 80% adoption rate, got positive feedback from marketing because it drives brand perception in our product. So then finally, we make the intangible tangible. So these are some, I call them like my back pocket strategies for proving how awesome design is. These are like my quick and dirties. That sounded really bad. Cut that, please. So first off, humanize your impact. So a standard result, the card sorting was also improved our findability. Again, to other stakeholders in the business, they don't know what half that means, they don't care. The customer said, I love how easily I can find the information. We've told a story, we've imbued the emotion, we've helped people understand what it is we actually do without so much scientific language. I also use this a lot for humanize your problem, rather than just stating a problem, using human quotes to humanize it, or even better, videos. But anyway, I digress, I could go on. Another good old-fashioned quick and dirty is the before and after pictures. It's just tables, right? But there is a big difference. There's significantly better quality in one of them. People are significantly more drawn to one of these, and I can tell you which one. It was the one that was researched. And I used this quite recently. Again, the question, what's your designer been doing for 2 weeks? Researching. Why? That's why. It matters. So, to recap, the kind of themes of what I've gone through are measuring what matters, aligning what you do to the business that you're in both words and metrics. Reframe your design quality metrics to again push and align against what matters to that business, but also be creative and look for opportunities where you can demonstrate the financial value of design in your organization. Build an ROI culture and do that from the individual level right up to your own level, and embed yourself at the start of every single project. And not just yourself, design. Design as a metric, but design as a thing you can measure. And then finally, make the intangible tangible. That is all from me. Thank you very much. I welcome any questions.
Hello. Thank you very much, Maeve. We do have some time for questions, so I'd love to have your questions. Let's get some hands. We got one on the end here, one down here, one here. Okay, I'll start. Let's go left to right. My left to right.
Hi, yeah, you said in your presentation about the cost of work without developers.
Yeah.
This is something that I really feel, but it's really hard to prove because
Yeah.
there was a project that we did and it didn't really have designers on it at the start. Sorry, I meant cost of designers without the development. Yeah, so there wasn't much design on the start of it, but it's how do I compare that with another project? Like you said, you could show tickets, but how can you repeat that project twice, if that makes sense?
Yeah, that's a really good question. It's almost like the proxy metric thing again. So I had that one incident where a golden opportunity arose where there was rework that was required in that specific project because because design weren't involved. That's the kind of stuff that you need to chase. Are you able to obtain any data like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's just there's always rework to be done when there's design involved.
Yeah.
But I guess it's hard to measure.
That's true. That's a very good point. There's always rework, but let's get specific about the type of rework. And that's how I achieved it with that, right? That was a little bit of, I call it my used car salesman strategies. I frankly cozied up to the head of engineering. I was like, look, I really, really need some data. Can you, with your devs, specifically, I got the word enhancement included in that ticket. For those tickets, include the word enhancement just so I can grab those ones, just those ones, and do my own data analysis to prove my point. I wasn't able to get direct access, as an example, to his salary figures, so I asked again, kind of on a favor basis, could you give me a rough figure? So it wasn't a perfect measurement, but I would say utilize your network to try and obtain stuff like that. Talk to your developers about ways that they can help you track that and go straight for the head of. They'll get it. They also need to prove this stuff. And frankly, devs often, most of the time, want designers involved. They don't like working without us. So get them inside and build that together with them. No worries.
Is it working? Can you hear me?
Yes.
There we go. Quick question. You said that you publish some of those metrics and successes and stuff. Where do you publish that?
I publish them on my Confluence page and on a Slack channel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where were those hands?
Hi. So my question is more around the proxymetrics. When it comes to showing it to, so for example, you need to then prove those stakeholders that this things really matters. I've seen a scenario where beyond just the recurring revenue, it's more laddering up the business impact, and then you've got the financial impact.
Yeah.
Right. How do you begin to go about the financial impact side of things? Because sometimes that data is not necessarily, I work in a really big company, so you don't even know the teams that are handling this thing sometimes.
Yes.
How do you find that kind of access or information? I know that's a different scenario for you, but yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a really good question because, as I said before, I've done stuff like this in government, startups, and scale-ups, It's kind of a similar answer to the above. It's building relationships with the folk who might be able to get you access, being dogged in pursuing it. And then there's also, again, to proxymetrics, using approximations, especially in government as an example. I was very seldom able to find out direct metrics about salaries or about, as an example, if you're working on something with a time to complete task type of metric, naturally the downstream of that is time saved on admin hours. That stuff was really, really hard to tangibly figure out, get definite metrics. In that case, again, approximations are better than nothing, right? And it's always worthwhile being really, really upfront with that. I will say that when you're using approximated metrics, have that asterisk and be quite transparent about it. But I think even the thinking behind it and even the approximate value, I've found anyway to stakeholders and execs, that's powerful even for them. And using that in combination with the other, quick and dirty methods, all of that kind of combined can really help drive that point home.
Sorry. As a follow-up,
Yeah.
when you're challenged, what's your response to that kind of thing? Because they're proxy after all.
And yeah, I do get challenged on it quite a lot. So I have a tiered approach to how I do it, and I always start with things like my proxy metrics, or I pull out of the bag, comparable kind of things I've done. So I might even pull out of the bag in a previous company, the design, investment after 2 years resulted in X, Y, Z. But then my last trick out of the bag is always that emotional aspect. It's always jumping right into that storytelling of, when we ran this by users, this is what they want. This is what drives value. So, yeah.
We have time for maybe one more question. Anyone else?
Right, so what usually happens within the companies, they have business objectives and they build product vision,
Yeah.
product strategy, and then they have the set of the things that we need to improve or build. So what are your tips and trips on how to influence all that stuff?
Oh.
Product strategy, product vision.
Yeah. That's a good question. Right, I'll do this with a story, actually. There was quite recently quite an expensive project that I've been on. It was a legacy transformation. It sounds really boring. I love it because it's really hard to do, right? But anyway, I digress. We kind of had 3 options: rebrand, reskin, or replatform. And you can take a wild guess at which was the most expensive. Obviously, most of the team wanted to go with the rebrand approach. And when I say legacy, by the way, a big part of this was just lifting and shifting that from Windows only to a web app. So kind of fundamental issues had to be solved before design was involved. I honestly, I knew that a rebrand or a reskin would not cut it, right? Maybe it would get us part of the way there, but it didn't take rocket science to look at this thing and know it's not just surfacing the same old, you can't put lipstick on a pig. You can't just surface that. The learnability will be awful, the usability will be awful, repeating the same mistakes put in the web app. But how did I go about actually ensuring that design was part of that strategy? Ran a survey behind their backs. And I did a couple of things with it. I tested usability, so I did a scale about what it was at the moment. And I tested customer satisfaction. I asked them, how satisfied are you with this project, the product? They were quite satisfied with the product. The usability was awful. So that was quite powerful, actually, because that turned into a story about, look, the features are clearly okay, they can do stuff, but it's the usability that's the problem. So if we just resurface the same old crap on the web, we're not going to solve the customer problem. And what that led to was usability became a key part of that project's OKR. And now, any time that there's a question or what are you guys doing, we have to be involved because usability is a key part of this project's success. And then to be quicker about it, another thing you can do is, the other story that was in my slide deck was, figure out a way that UX can be a differentiator in the product that you're making and embed that in there. Because once you toss in, and I hate to be so cheap about it, but it's the truth, words like differentiator, words like USP, once you toss those in, that gets people excited.
Competitive advantage.
This is it. UX is a competitive advantage. Just keep repeating that. Get on a t-shirt.
Thank you.
Cool.